Hello, everybody. Welcome to Berry Fun Adventures, episode 50. I cannot believe it. We are on the 50th episode. So welcome. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Thanks for checking us out. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. It is great to be with you today. So it has been about 3 weeks, I think, since I came to you last. It has been a crazy 3 weeks, yet it has been less crazy than the weeks before there, but different. So when I came to you last, it was right before Zombie Knitpocalypse, which is a big knitting retreat that's held in Rochester, Minnesota. And I was there with my yarn set up at the market, which is on the Saturday of the retreat, but the retreat itself goes Wednesday through Saturday. I was an attendee. I attended some classes. I'm going to show you about something I made in one of the classes. Some of you wonderful people came up and told me about what you've been making with my yarn, or maybe how you enjoyed the podcast. And then there were some longtime friends that I look forward to seeing every year. So new friends and old friends. It was just a lot of fun. After that week, that was the week, like the 20th through the 23rd or something like that, I think. After that week, I took a couple weeks off. I just sort of off in the sense of like I didn't do any yarn dyeing and I didn't do any big work outside on the farm. I just did kind of maintenance things. My son, my 12-year-old, was at a summer camp the very next week, and then he has been at a summer camp this week, which is a lot of fun, and it isn't too far from our house. It's like 7 minutes away, but it's still like I have to drop him off at 12:15 and pick him up at 3. So it kind of breaks up my schedule, and it's hard to kind of get in a flow because I know I have to go places and do things. And there have been vet visits, nothing wrong, just, the yearly checkups. Everybody kind of seems to have their checkup at this time of year. So just kind of a lot of appointments and checkups. But in between that, I have done a ton of making. I have worked on so many projects. I've cast on, I wrote it down, 1, 2, 3, 4, cast on 5 new projects since I've seen you last. I've been working on 4 of the projects I had cast on before then, and then I finished 3 projects as well. So I have a lot of projects to share with you today. So I should probably stop babbling and get to that good stuff. So let's move on to that. Let's start with the finished object. You can kind of see this back here in my profile. I got some goodies falling down. Let me grab that. I also pulled out some of the newest things that are in the shop, and I will show you that later. But let me start here. I have finished 3 things I was telling you about. I have some goodies inside this bag. The first one is I finished I think it's my 4th pair of spring rainstorm mitts. And this is my pattern that came out in April, I think. And I just love this pattern. I kind of probably not very partial. Is that right? Yes, I'm not very impartial. I said that wrong because I designed it, but I love this pattern, and I know I'm going to wear these a lot. These are for me. These are made with, I have both of these colors in the shop, but they are not in a 50-gram set. So when you make this pattern, it is fingering weight, held double. It is available on both Ravelry and our website, which will be linked below in the more box below this video. But the dark purple is a yak sock blend, and that is in the eggplant colorway, and the variegated is I believe it's called Perfect Neutral, and that is in the Berry Tough sock base. And both of those colors, like I said, are in the shop right now, just not in a 50-gram set. The reason I didn't put them in a set is because I chose these purely because I love these colors and they're going to be for me. And I made the medium size. The pattern has 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. And you do hold the fingering weight double. You only need between 25 and 45 grams of each color, depending on what size you're making. So you can certainly use scraps, but I picked these two colors because I loved them. Some people really have issue with using different bases. So the Berry Tough sock, so this kind of gray variegated with little bits of purple in it, is a superwash, whereas the yak blend is not, because the yak is not superwash. So I try not to make kits that will stress people out, because sometimes, everybody likes kits, I think, but a lot of my newer knitters particularly like the kits. And so I try to keep it very straightforward when I make the kits. I don't want them to have to think, oh, well, one is superwash and one isn't. It's just easier for me to have it the same base for them. So, but if you do like this color combination, like I said, you can get it in the shop right now. So I finished those. If you recall, I had one done quite a while ago, but I needed to dye some more of the eggplant in the yak sock. And I did do that, so I finished those. And those are knit using a US 3 for the ribbing and a US 5 for the other main part of the mitten. And like I said, it is fingering held double, or you can use a DK weight as well. So that was finished object number 1. And number 2, these socks have been on the needles, I don't know how long, but I'm so glad I finished them. This was sort of my go-to project when I went to the retreat. I kind of knit on them a little bit each day. I had cast on, I think I had the cuff and just a little bit of the second sock finished. And so I worked on that. I did a little bit each day before I, started something else. And these are kind of hard to see, but this is the heel toe do-si-do pattern. And that is by Kay Litton, Crazy Sock Lady Designs. And I chose to only do the pattern on the top, and then I did just a solid stockinette foot. And that was for a couple reasons. One, I was having a hard time with the dark color. I did switch I like to knit my socks on a size US 0 double pointed needles. That's my preferred method for socks. I did switch out, though. I had some darker, I think they're called Caspian, something like that, from Knit Picks that I was knitting on, and they were kind of dark. So I switched those out for I think they're called Sunstruck, which is a more of a lighter wood color. And that made it a lot easier to see my stitches with my old lady eyes. But also, I felt like the pattern was just kind of getting lost in this very beautiful but very variegated yarn. And this yarn is from Leading Men Fiber Arts. Steve and Andy make beautiful yarn, and they were also at the market just across from me when I was at the Zombie Knit Apocalypse retreat. But these are for my son Ian. So he picked this yarn out the first year he vended with me. He kind of helps me. He's my sidekick in the market. He's my market booth babe, I guess you might want to call it, or dude. I don't know what you'd call it. So I finished those, and they turned out great. I'm going to set those aside for him for when it gets colder. So probably when he goes back to college in the fall, I'll send those with him. And then the last thing I started and finished since I came to you last is this crochet project bag. And this bag is something that was a class, so you can see the bottom. It's actually a hard bottom. This is a class I took at the retreat. So if you're interested in going to the retreat in the future, this retreat is different in that there's not a huge upfront cost to come. It's basically, for the goodie bag, and we have a keynote speaker, and then we have some snacks and food throughout the weekend. But the classes are led by other attendees who volunteer to lead the classes. And so this class was led by a lovely person who I've known for quite a few years now. And she actually teaches this class at a knitting store in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It's called the Knitters. I wrote it down. Where is it here? The Knitter's Edge. So it is a local yarn store in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So the pattern isn't really a pattern you can get online, but she did say that you can order kits and get the pattern through the store. So if it is something you are interested in, just look them up and contact them at the store, and they can hook you up. But so you start, it's all crocheted. These bottoms you can get online. I got some more at Amazon because I plan to make some more of them. But we just did a single crochet in 2 of them in each of the holes to start. And then you do half double crochets all the way up till you don't, till the size is, I think the pattern said like 7 inches or something. I did mine a little taller because I wanted mine a little bit bigger. I chose to hold 2 strands of fingering together, I think is what I did. Yeah, so it's like a worsted or a DK weight. And yeah, I just kind of used up scraps. And then when you get to the top, there are directions in the pattern for this like fancy bit deal, where you kind of do, I think you do a chain, you do some kind of fancy bit chain deal in between, and then you like do 2 double crochets, and then you chain so many. And then I just did 2 hold it. I think I held double some yarn, maybe 2 strands of worsted held double to make these chains. And then I just threaded them in, and voila. Yeah, it turned out really great. I really enjoyed making it, and it's a great way to use up scraps. So, and you can get these bottom dealies in lots of different sizes and colors. So yeah, I'll put that information down below, or actually I might just link it to my project page, which will have that information in it for you if you're interested in making something like this. This will be a great gift for like Christmas or birthdays, that kind of thing. You could even put a gift inside of it as like, it could be like a gift bag that they could reuse. So that is project number 3. All right, so moving on to works in progress. I looked on my Ravelry page, and I currently have 11. So once I cast off these 3 projects, I have 11 more whips on the needles or hook. And those are all listed in my Ravelry projects page. Of those 11 whips, 5 of them are new casts on since I came to you last. And I have worked on all of them but 2 in the last 3 weeks. So I have done a lot of making. I will say that my husband did surprise me right before the 4th of July. He made reservations at a hotel in town, and we just went there and had kind of a staycation for 2 nights. Very relaxing. We went out to eat. We played some games. I did a lot of crocheting and knitting, and he did a lot of video game playing. He called it our recuperate from strawberry season and the ZK busy week. And we have older kids now that are 19 and 21, so they can kind of take care of the younger ones, which are 12 and 17. So we can kind of go off and do things a little bit more. Anyway, so I did a lot of making those 2 days. And then I also had a birthday on July 6th was my birthday. So I had kind of some time to relax and take it easy and just sort of chill. So let me show you all of the things I have been working on. I'm looking back here because my girl kitty S'mores is kind of lingering in my pile of projects. So let's see what I have back here. Okay, the first one I think I will share with you is my pixie dust blanket. If you have been around for a while, this is a long-term whip. I really want to get this off the needles before Christmas, and I had not been feeling it. I think I cast it on in December of 2022. It is out of a Lavender Loon winter solstice countdown kit. A lovely kit. Loved the yarn, loved the colors, loved the pattern I picked, but it was fingering weight, and it's a lot of yarn. If any of you have gotten a fingering weight advent kit before from me or from someone else, you know that if you try to knit 20 grams a day, it is a lot of time. It's a lot of making. So the pattern that I had kind of stalled on this, I have to say, and it had been kind of put away for a while. And for some reason, I don't know, I was in the mood to just kind of pull out old projects, as is evident by the fact that I knit on 9 of my 11 whips here. And I pulled it out. So this is where I am now. I am using the Pixie Dust cowl pattern. Now this is a pattern that is not available to the general public. It is by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. You will see as I continue on here with my whips that I have been in a Kay Jones pattern place. Her patterns have just been speaking to me the last couple of weeks, but this one is in particular a patron pattern. So they have a Patreon account, of which I am a patron, and so this is one of her exclusive patterns. Now it was a cowl pattern, so just a singular cowl, and I chose to open it up and kind of modify the pattern directions to keep the pattern, but to be able to knit it flat, like a blanket. And all those modifications are on my project page, but this is my blanket. Now I'm going to have to, so it's getting quite long. This is where I started down here. I was, let's see here, if I can find, I have knit a lot on this. I was way down here. You could tell I have my snowman stitch marker from Simply Serving on there. So I knew it had been a while since I knit on this. This is how much I did from here all the way up to here. So much wonderful making. So I am definitely in the blues. This is a fade of sorts. Let's see if I can hold it up. Just show you all the beautiful colors. And the pattern you'll see is sort of like a chevron with some garter ridges, garter bumps in there. Yeah, so I love this. It's turning out wonderful. I have this much left of this color, so I'm thinking it's one more. Each repeat is 4 rows, so they're back, there, and back. I think I have maybe one more repeat in that, and then I have wound up all of the rest of the colors. I have 5 more colors that are from the kit, and then I'm contemplating adding this other one. I don't know though, this is the one I'm contemplating adding. I would have to add it next. This one is not dyed by the same dyer. I think this is a Northern Bee Studio, which is a dyer out of Wisconsin, I believe. And it's similar, but let me see if I can find the next one, and you all can give me your suggestions. I think I might be a purist here and just stick with the Lavender Loon ones. I was thinking, so this countdown kit is only 19 or 20 different colors because it was a winter solstice countdown and not a Christmas countdown. So it wasn't quite as many. This is the next one that Sam had planned. This is number 16. And I was thinking maybe I could add this one in here, but the more I look at it, the more I think I'm just gonna keep with this. I really was thinking that this maybe would just add some length to it to make it a bit bigger, but in all honesty, one more color isn't gonna make that much more length. It'll give me maybe, let's see, it'll give me like 1.5 inches, I think. Now, as I say this out loud, I think I've decided I'm gonna set this one aside, and I'll just put it in my scraps bin for using with something else. So in that case, once I finish this, I only have 5 colors left. So I'm so excited. And then once I get through this next blue one, then it moves into these beautiful purples. This is one. This is one. Aren't those 4 pretty? There's one. Oh, there's 5. So there's 4 purple and 1 of the blue besides the one I'm working on. So I think, my goal really I would love to have this finished by, gosh, the end of August at the very latest. So we'll see. I've been trying to work on it regularly. It's still kind of when you get to that part in a project and it's kind of close to the end, you kind of like, you have that last big push to get to the end and to finish it. That is sort of how I'm feeling with this project right now. We are going on vacation at the end of July for a week and a half, end of July, beginning of August. I think it's a little bit too big for me to take on a plane or to take as a travel project. So I don't know if I will finish it before we leave, but certainly when we come back, that would be really great. And part of, oops, I dropped my thing here. Part of the reason that I want to finish this blanket, 1, it's been on the needles for almost 2 years. 2, it's beautiful and I want to use it. But then also, I want to cast on another blanket, my son's blanket for my 3rd child is going to be a senior in high school this year. And I like to make my kids a blanket to go away to college. So I want to start on that, but I kind of want to finish some of my other blankets before I really get going on that one. So that is one of them. Okay, so I probably should talk a little faster, or we are going to be here forever with all of my projects that I have today. Let me organize myself a little bit here. When I get done, it won't be quite such a mess to pick up. Okay, let's talk about my sweater. Now, I have not knit on this in a while. This is the Louisiana sweater by Petite Knit. Again, if you've been with me a while, you might remember that I knit one for myself and also one for my husband last year. Mine may have been the year before. It might have been a 2022 finish. I can't remember. But regardless, I, after making the one for my husband, really liked the larger, oversized sweater. And so I had enough yarn left over actually from making my 2 older kids' blankets that I wanted to cast on one for myself. So I am holding 2 strands of Wool of the Andes Superwash worsted in the Fjord colorway. And what's the other one called? Fjord and Marble Heather. So I'm holding these 2 together, and it's actually really pretty. I like it. It's oops. It looks kind of funny right now because I'm getting very close to the separation for the sleeves. So I have a lot of stitches on my needles at the moment, but let's see if I can show it to you. So you see, it's kind of a nice, like, heathered look where you can see a little bit of the blue and a little bit of the gray mixed in. So I really like that. What to tell you, I am knitting this on a US 9 for the ribbing and a US 11 for the body. I believe that's about 2 sizes smaller than the pattern recommends, but I am a loose knitter and I am getting gauge, so I'm just going with it. So I am really close. I think I have 4 or 5 more increase rounds, and then it's like an increase every other round. So about 8 more rows, and then I can separate. So this was something I did. We had to do some traveling to bring one of our kiddos to a 2-week-long summer camp, and this is what I worked on when we drove there. But it's kind of thick to work on right now. And I sort of, we have air conditioning, of course, so that's not really a big deal. But I kind of, again, I want to finish it so I can wear it in the fall and I have something cozy that's ready for me when it starts to get cold out, and also so I don't steal my husband's sweater. So, and I want to cast on, after being at the retreat, I have all of these patterns, sweater patterns that I want to cast on. So I kind of, again, was giving myself some arbitrary rules that I needed to make some progress on this. Now this one, I could see that if I haven't finished it, which I probably won't in the next couple weeks, that I could possibly take this with me on the airplane. It is kind of big, But I say that in that it is also a really easy thing to work on the airplane because it's a lot of just stockinette in the round, right? Apologies there. I think that I just got cut off because my microphone went out. So I took a little break and I plugged it in, and hopefully we are back in business. So let's move on to I think I'm on the third whip. Let's see. I am on the third whip, the cheesehead socks. So these are socks that I've had on the needle for a while, but I ran into a bit of a snafu with them. Not the knitting, but how to explain this. So let me show you what the first one looks like. I have finished the first one quite a while ago. These are made with Lolo Did It yarn dyer. That's the name of the yarn dyer. And I think it's an 8515 base. And it is the cheesehead colorway. And the heel and toe is a old BFL base that I used to dye here at Berry Fun Yarns. I don't carry it anymore, but it is with turmeric and indigo. So I finished the first one, or I thought I finished the first one. These are for my son, Lincoln. Now, if anybody out there has had, as a parent, and has had, remembers when their child goes through that growth spurt. So Lincoln is 12. And I think it started this year. Maybe he was like 11. Maybe he like just turned 12 or probably just turned 12. He's a December birthday. But he has been growing so fast. He's 12 and a half now. And I think he is almost as tall as me. And I'm not a short woman. I'm like 5'7" and a half. So fairly tall. But the crazy thing is that his foot size is just growing exponentially too. So to kind of show you what I mean, we got him new sandals because his feet had grown over the winter. We got him new sandals in May. I think it was the beginning of May. A size 10 US men's. Okay, same size as my husband's already. So I got him the good sandals, thinking if he outgrows them by the end, by next summer, then my husband will just have a pair of sandals because they like similar style. It is 2 months later, and we went to the store this week to get tennis shoes because those he had outgrown, and he is at least a US 7, the salesperson tells me, and maybe even I could try 11 and a half. So this sock, which I finished, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago, it just barely fits him. So I have a plan of what I'm going to do. So since I came to you last, I think I had just cast this one on. So I did knit just a tiny bit on it. Woo, my needles are flying out. So I knit a little bit on it. I'm not going to stop or wait in making him socks because I know he needs socks. I know he's going to need wool socks. He loves wool socks, and I know none of them are going to fit him next year. So what I've decided to do is I am going to knit my socks top down. So I'm going to knit until I think it is about the right length for his foot. And then I'm going to stop. I'm either going to put the stitches on a stitch holder or scrap yarn, and then I'll cast on another pair. And then when it gets close to the cold time here in Minnesota, so it'll probably be like mid-September, I'll have him try them on, and we'll see if we need to add more length to the toe or not. And then I will do that and then do the toe. So everything will be like almost ready for me to finish them. So that way he can still have socks. So I'm not waiting till the end, but I don't have to rip them out. So I'm quite certain these I'm going to have to rip out. But going forward, that is my plan. So that's my pro tip for you. If you have somebody growing rapidly and you want to knit them socks in the summer, because socks are so portable, knit until you think it's the right spot, but stop. Don't do the toe. I think this will work because his leg circumference around, I don't think will grow too much. I mean, he's already a 72 stitch sock on a US 0 2mm needle. So I can't imagine that he will need it bigger that way, but perhaps the length will be bigger. So that is the plan with those. So I kind of, when I realized that I was going to have to rip this out, I kind of was like, wah, wah. And I haven't been knitting on them too much since then. But, I've got some travel coming up. So all these sock projects I have on the needles, I'm sure will get put to good use. So that is the Cheesehead socks, and that is in a lovely Berry Fun Yarns medium zipper bag. I know we have this print in the shop right now. We also have it in a beautiful green and pink kind of color combo, if that's something that interests you. Okay, let's see, what else did I write down? Oh, the crochet blanket. I have shown you this quite a bit. Let me pull this out. This has gotten really big. Again, this too has been one of my main projects I have been working on. I have been really enjoying it a lot. This is the Crochet Advent Baby Blanket by Lucienne Crochet. And I am making this with some stranded dye works yarn that I purchased when Jude decided he was no longer going to be dyeing yarn. So I got 5 skeins from Stephen and Penelope in Amsterdam, I believe, because I knew they had it in stock, and I was guessing the final update was going to be hard to get yarn. So anyway, I got 5 different skeins, and I thought, well, I'm going to make a blanket. And I got far. If you have been a little around a while, you might remember me talking about this in previous episodes about how I think it's not going to be quite long enough. So I wanted to get 2 more skeins when I went to the Zombie Knitpocalypse market. And I did do that. I'll show you that in a minute. But I have moved into my 3rd color, which is another stranded colorway. So I was down, where's my marker? Here it is. I was way down here. You see my little pine cone marker there. So I had done the first color, which I believe is called Pinata. The second color I think is Sweet Treats. And then I have done that much crochet from that marker down low all the way up to here. And so I'm moving into Impromptu. Move back, see if the color is any better. A little bit. You can see I did a lot. Here's where my marker is. I did like half of my blanket since then. And it is quite wide. It's kind of my wingspan, I would say. So this pattern is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry. I am crocheting it with a G-hook, which is 4 millimeters. The pattern itself calls, I believe it's just a fingering weight pattern, but I am choosing, because I'm all about the fingering held double, and I wanted it to be thicker for my blanket. So I cast on the same number of, I chained the same number of stitches. So of course mine is wider because I'm holding an undyed skein of Berry Tough sock with a color. So this is the color I'm on right now. I'm holding the undyed through the whole blanket and then just changing the other color. So it kind of gives it a little continuity. It sort of mutes things if they're really vibrant. It helps it all blend together. But so the next color I have, I purchased from Leading Men Fiber Arts when I was at ZK. I don't have the tag. Do I have the tag in here? Let me see. Oh, I do. It is on their intermission base, which is 75-25, and the colorway is Pink Panther. So this will be the next one that comes. So this is the one I'm working on right now. So it'll kind of blend into that one. So when I get down to about 27 grams, I need to weigh this because I think this is probably, I'm guessing, around 40. Then I start to fade in. So if you look at my blanket again, let me just show you where I did that. You see on the pink one, I do 2 rows here of the new color, 2 of the old, 2 of the new, and I kind of faded in. I did the same thing up here. Up here, I actually I forgot to measure. So, you know, down here, you're not fading it in from a different color. You're just doing solid. So you don't need as much up here. You don't need to, how do I say that? Yeah, you don't need as much for the rows. And I forgot to weigh it, so it was a little bit less. But I'm not too concerned about it. I did 2 fade-in sections, and it'll be fine. I might actually do 2 fade-in sections for the rest of them, just because, I don't know. We'll see. Because this chunk isn't, I guess I have a little bit to knit on this yet. Or not knit, crochet. This is a crochet blanket. So that is the plan there. I'm going to keep doing that. And so when I am completely finished with it, my blanket will have 7 skeins, so 700 grams, 7 different colors, held with 700 grams of undyed fingering. So we'll have 14 skeins of yarn in it. It's going to be a very large blanket, but I think it's going to be very cozy on our bed in like the winter time. It'll be big enough that we can fit 2 people underneath it. I'm going to move up my stitch marker here before my progress creeper before I forget. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that one. That is a very lovely pattern. Highly recommend that one. Shove that back in my bag. That would be really great to complete that blanket by the end of the year too. Not sure if it's going to happen, but I do love to crochet on it. It's sort of my crochet project right now if I'm in the mood for crochet. So we will see. Okay, now the other 4 projects I have been working on are all new cast-ons since I came to you last. The first one is the Musselburgh hat, and that is by Isolde Teague. I have made quite a few of these before, and I'm sure most of you have seen this pattern before. All kinds of crazy needles in my bag here. So this is the pattern where you knit, you start at the top, you knit until you increase, and then you knit a long tube, and then you decrease, and you sort of have this hat that kind of folds in on itself. But this is mine, I cast on. I believe this is with, I can't remember the yarn now. I don't think it's, maybe it's Jada Woo Designs. I got it when I was in Seattle, and I think there is a reference to the Pacific Northwest. So I am at the go round and round stage. This is for my 3rd child, who is 17. I really think I'd like to get to him a cowl, an infinity cowl that will match this, that he'll have, then can take with him to college. But it's turning out pretty nice. I mean, there is a little bit of flashing here with a little bit of pooling, but in general, it's pretty nice. And the colors are nice and deep, so it's not like one color really stands out. They blend together nicely. They don't look totally ridiculous. So my plan is to do the whole thing in this color. Although I had thought maybe if I got some like dark brown, I could do half dark brown and half the green, and then I could save the green to do with a cowl. I'm not sure what I want to do, but anyway, I did get this far and it's going swimmingly. I am using a US 2, which is 2.5 millimeters. I think, is that what I'm using? Or am I using a 2.5? Let's see. Get that closer. I'm using a 2.5, which is a 3 millimeter needle. So that's what I'm using. Oh, and I will say, I wrote it down. What is it called? It is called the disappearing loop method. That is what I used for the cast on. I've made these before, and I've always kind of struggled with the cast on. It can be kind of fiddly because it's such few number of stitches, but this cast on was really good. There is a new video that Isolde Teague put out, and she talks you through how she casts it on, and that is the method I used, and it is way easier than anything else that I have ever tried. So if you are interested in making one of these and are having issues with the cast on, I have linked that video tutorial in my project page. So go check that out. That is a great top-down hat kind of cast on, and I really liked that. Look at my fun little I got these from one of my knitting friends at ZK. This is Cat Mom, little needle stoppers, super cute. All right, so that was that one. I haven't gotten too far on that. I cast that on and knitted during ZK and haven't really done a whole lot since then. All right, now the last three are new fingering weight sock patterns. They are all patterned. They are all by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. She came out with some really beautiful sock patterns, and they've been kind of on my mind to cast on, and I just went ahead and did it. I cast on a whole bunch of them. So let's start with the crunkled socks. I think those are in this bag back here. So this pattern is called the crunkled socks. These have been out quite a while. This is a pattern. Let's see if I can show you her pattern page photo. There it is. You can kind of see it. It has a nice little texture to it. What I love about these patterns that I'm doing of Kay's is that they're all very simple, knits and purls. Nothing is complicated, but it looks really cool, and I'm really enjoying it. So it's not complicated to do in the sense that I'm not like dreading having a pattern sock. It's a little more interesting than just doing a stockinette, and that is really keeping my brain happy. So this I cast on for my husband. They look kind of skinny for him, but he likes them fitted, and I think just the pattern kind of sucks in. But here is where we are. It's a fun color. It's sort of variegated. This is a BFL fingering base that is very fun yarns. And I believe, I don't know if I have it in here, the colorway is like Midnight. I can't remember. I think there might be a few of these skeins in the shop, but I ran out of time for ZK and did not get my BFL fingering dyed up, so that is on the list to do in the very near future. But yeah, it's turning out super cute. I like it a lot, and I think he'll like it too because it stretches nice and you can still see the pattern, but yet it's also, you know, kind of squishy, and I think it'll feel nice on his feet. So I'm knitting that, and then I plan to do, I have this. I think I'm going to do the heel in this, and I'm going to do the toe in this. I haven't decided 100% yet. He's kind of rough on his socks sometimes, so I may just decide to do all BFL, or maybe do BFL until the toe and then do this for the toe, but I forgot to do a little pop of it for the top, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do. He likes his socks so long, like 7 to 8 inch leg, and so sometimes I worry that I don't have enough because, you know, 7 to 8 inch leg is pretty big for a size 10 men's foot. It does take a lot of yarn. And did I put my pattern back in here? Hold on. Oh, here it is. Where is it? So that is pattern or project number 1 of the socks that I cast on, the crunkled socks. And I am again using size 0 DPNs with my socks there for that. Typical the way forgot a needle. You know, I sometimes after I do these videos, then I like, wait a minute, where did I put this or that? It's sort of like strewn on the floor and I have to find it. So we don't want that to happen today. Okay, the next one is I'm calling them the Not So Scrappy Quilt Project. Not So Scrappy Quilt Socks. I'm having a hard time saying that fast. These are actually the Scrappy Quilt Sock pattern by Kay Jones. This was a pattern she put out for their anniversary. I think it was 10 years that they were podcasting, I think is what she said. And I printed it in black and white, so you can't see it super closely, but again, it's a nice squishy pattern. And it's again knits and purls, and it's supposed to replicate like a quilt pattern. And let's see what else I was going to say about these. So it's meant to be used with mini skeins, but I am simply using a solid skein of yarn. I'm using a Lavender Loon Bronze Stellina colorway, which is just really rich and like a blue-green color. I really like how those are turning out. And then I used a pop of this very vibrant lime green for the top. This is a Homespun House, a mini skein I got in a set at one time. So let's take a look at these. It's harder to see the pattern because it is very dark. These are really fun to make as well. So I cast on this pattern with the yarn I'm going to show you in the last pair of socks. And I was about this far, and the other sock yarn is highly variegated. And I just decided it was a little too variegated. It wasn't fun to knit because of the fact the pattern was getting lost. So I wasn't seeing the full beauty of the yarn, and I wasn't seeing the full beauty of the pattern. So it lost its appeal for me. So I ripped it out and I started over. And I'll show you the ones I'm working on with that. But this I do really like. These are going to be for my oldest child, I believe. He is in need of some new socks. So again, 64 stitches is what I use for most of my family, except for my youngest son, who has the big feet. And I'm doing the size 0 DPNs, and I think I did 2 rows of the contrast yarn. I think I'm going to do this for the toe as well. And then I have this left over that I'm thinking to do for the heel. So I plan on doing a heel flap and gusset again. So looking at all these projects really makes me want to knit on socks again. I was really in a sock place. And then I, again, switched and went back to blankets. And, so I've kind of been just going with whatever I want to make and just kind of, going with the flow. But whenever I get them all around me, I'm like, oh, I love them all. Which one to do first, You ever get that way? That is how I am today. All right, 2 more projects. The next one is the spring shorty socks. And this is the yarn that I cast on in that other pattern. And you'll quickly see. This is the Strawberry Fields colorway by Muse 2320. And 80% merino, 20% nylon. It is supposed to mimic like strawberry fields, or I also think it looks very Christmassy. So my plan now is that so I cast it on, and these even too, maybe I should have just done plain stockinette with this. It's very variegated. Let's see if I can get the pattern to show you. So it is, kind of has a little bit of, I don't have the pattern printed off, but it's got, when you stretch it, you can see it better. It has some purling. It has some little holes in it. I think they kind of look like strawberry seed holes, which is kind of funny. And then some stockinette in here. So you can't see the design a ton. I was knitting on these at the farmer's market last week, Saturday, which was my birthday. And I was sort of like, I don't know, I was going to make them long socks for me. So I was here, kind of in this area. And my husband was with me. He kept me company last week. And I was sort of like, they're not as much fun because I can't see the pretty yarn. You can see here now, this is the stockinette on the bottom of my foot. So I changed my mind. I decided to turn them into shorties. And I'm going to, I turned the heel now, and I am on the gusset. I'm just in the decreasing bit. So I think, my original plan was that I thought, oh, I'm going to make long socks because then I can knit them during strawberry season and I can wear them during Christmas. But instead, I'm going to make this pair of shorty socks. I do have a contrast. I forgot to use it for the heel, but I think I'm just going to use it on the toe because I used it also on the top for a pop of color. So I'm going to use it in the toe. And then what I have left over, I'll combine with some other colors and make a pair of scrappy Christmas socks that maybe are a little bit longer. So that is my plan with these. But I love the pattern, even though it's not showing up super good with this variegated yarn. I think I will definitely make this pattern again. Again, it's like a 4-row repeat, paid for pattern. So I'm not going to tell you all the secrets, but you know, there's a couple rows of knitting, a couple rows of purling, and then a fancy row where you do like fancy business. And, you know, so it's very simple, very memorizable, but yet fun, and makes a simple sock a little more interesting. So I have really been enjoying those a lot too. There we go on that one. All right, I have one more project left, and this one is actually a new design. So right now I'm calling it the Fancy Business Cowl. I'm not sure if it will stay that as my pattern name, but it's in the very early stages. It is going to be a cowl. It's going to be an infinity cowl, so either a single wrap or a double wrap. You are going to be knitting it, it's like this one. I have this one here. This is my other one. This is my Advent wallop cowl. So it'll be kind of like this, where you knit it in a tube. And then when you get to the color change, there'll be a fancy business thing of what you do. And I plan on making it 2 sizes. So one size will just wrap around your neck once, like this. And then the second one, the long size, will be a double wrap. So what I have done so far, the reason I wanted to make something like this is because I love mini skeins. I love to sell them. I love to buy them. But then, for one, when I'm at the market in particular, people are like, well, what do I do with all these mini skeins? It's so much fun to have all these mini skeins, but what do I make with them? So I thought it would be really great to have a cowl that used 5 20-gram mini skeins, which is what the single wrap will be. And then the long one will take 10 20-gram mini skeins, so 2 bundles. I do sell bundles of mini skeins in either 5 or 10. And I know a lot of dyers sell them in 10 as well. So easily modifiable for the number of mini skeins you have, or you could use it for scraps, that sort of thing. So, so far, this is my swatch I wanted to share with you. So you can see there's going to be a solid section where you just knit, and then there will be this fancy bit section where you do some fancy business, for lack of a better explanation. It is not complicated. It slips and knit slips, knit purls. It's just the order of which it's done. Knits and purls, nothing complicated. And yeah, so you do that for a little bit, and then you'll go into the next color. And so every time there's a color change, there'll be a little bit of that fancy business. But so what I'm at now is I have my pattern figured out of what I want to do. And I have cast on the full size. So of course the swatch I just made tiny so that I could figure out the patterning. I have cast on the full size, but I haven't gotten very far. I just barely cast it on. It's a provisional cast on, so I did that, and then I have the first couple rows knit. I haven't gotten to the fancy business yet, but I picked out a couple of my cashmere scraps for my first sample just to kind of see how it's going. But what I need to figure out before I'm ready for testers is how many rows. You know, it's all about the weighing of the yarn to see how many grams it takes to do each row. So how big I want the chunk to be before we do the fancy business, and how much yarn I need to save for the fancy business section. So it's going to be a little tinkering with that right now. So, and then of course I want it to be a certain length so that it fits around your neck properly. So I'm in the process of that. I hope that will be ready for testing, probably like I'll probably take this with me on vacation. So I'm hoping by the end of August, it'll be at a mid to late August, it'll be at a point where I can get some testers starting to try out the pattern. And then, you know, in the fall, maybe beginning of October, mid-October, it'll be ready for purchase. So yeah, that is my new design, the Fancy Business Cowl. So that's it for all my projects. If you are still with me, thank you. It has been a long episode of projects. I have just a little bit more to share with you from the Very Fun Yarns headquarters information. Since I've come to you last, I have, first of all, apologies. When I put out the last podcast episode, I mentioned that there were products in the store, if you couldn't make it to Zombie Apocalypse, that you could purchase them, and my inventory was set up so it could take it out of the inventory online at the same time as I was selling it. Well, I had a snafu, and of course, when I said that it was all set up to do that, it didn't. And so what I ended up having to do, because I didn't want online customers to try and purchase something that was being sold in person at the market that day, I ended up having to put my store on vacation mode. So it wasn't available for a couple days. So if you went to the store during that time, I apologize for any inconvenience that may have caused you in your shopping endeavors. But it is back up now, and hopefully all the inventory is accurate. I had a few snafus with some bag inventory. We had to manually take the inventory again and match it to make sure it was good, and we had missed one. So hopefully, though, it is all good. But now, so it's all set up. There's some beautiful things in there, lots of yarn, lots of project bags. My mom is working on more of those. But I did pull a few of my favorites. I thought instead of showing you everything right away, I would pull one of my bases that I like, some of the new, and show you a few of the new colors, and then a couple bags. And then next time I'll do the same thing again, so as not to overwhelm you. But if you're interested in anything, of course, just go on over to the shop. The link is below. There's a lots more in the shop for you to check out. So what I brought up today is my DK All-Star base, which is 100% superwash merino. It is an extra fine merino, so it's very soft. It's 250 yards and 115 grams. And I have 4 new colors to show you. First one is called Sweet Treats, and this is a really fun variegated. Has a yellow kind of golden base that I dyed with Coreopsis and goldenrod. And then it's got pops of other colors in there. So this is, of course, going to knit up kind of variegated, maybe a fun hat, some mittens. Yeah, that's a fun one. And then we have, I think this is called Seaside Rendezvous. So it's a blue-green variegated, but a little more subtle than the last one. It's hard to see, has more of a green undertony base, but it's a very light base, and it's kind of blowing out here. That one's really fun. This one is called Vacation Rental, which is kind of a funny name. When we were in Florida, they had all these in the Keys in winter. They had a lot of condos. When you got farther south, of course, they're up on stilts, but they were like peach and blue and mint green and stuff. So this was some of the colors that I remembered from there. And I got new yarn labels, you can see. So that's kind of a fun one there. And then the last one I wanted to share is called Grassy Knoll. And this is sort of a tonal green. Has a few more pops in, but it's all green colors. Very fun. I think this would make a really pretty sweater too. I think there are 6 skeins in the shop right now, so you probably could make a sweater. And then I picked out 2 fun bags. This is a medium zipper bag, which comes with a strap. It's a zip. And then inside it has 2 pockets with the lining in there. But this is a super fun sunflower bag with butterflies. There's that one. And then in the medium tote bag, so the smallest tote bag size, we have this super cute crochet print it's obviously a crochet fabric, but it's like a picture of crochet with the denim blue and the purple. And the inside has the denim blue and then a little bit more with the pockets. This one has the 3 pockets on the inside. And this is something new. Previously, all of our medium totes were drawstring, but my mom has started making them with zipper because it's kind of nice. Even if you don't use it as a project bag, like as a purse, it's a really great size for a purse too. So I have a couple at this size that I use as purses different times of the year. Purses / project bags. So I'll put and there's pockets on the outside too. I'll put my wallet and my phone on some of the inside pockets so that they don't, and my keys, and then my project will be in there as well. So yeah, so those are a few new things. Oh, there's one more I was going to show you. Now that I say that, here they are. I just dyed these yesterday. So these are not in the shop yet. Hopefully I'll get them in the shop hopefully tomorrow before this goes live. But I am starting to dye silk scarves. So I used to do eco printing on sock blanks, so wool knitted fabric that you would unravel and knit into a sock or something else. I recently decided I was going to stop dyeing or eco printing on those for a little bit and start doing some eco printing on these silk. So you can kind of see but these are lightweight silk scarves. And so far I've only done the colors. Right now that I have, the flowers that are flowering are this yellowy orange color mostly. So these will be in the shop soon, and they're just a lightweight kind of scarf that you would put around your neck kind of as a, fun kind of stylish accent. So yeah, that is it for my updates, for my knitting. I think I'm going to wrap up because I think I just heard the doorbell ring. I think my honey guy, my beekeeper, is here to drop off more honey for me to take to the farmer's market. So I'm going to head out. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting me on my channel and my business. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.